In this episode, we're going to review a little bit of nomenclature, specifically what we mean when we use the phrases high level and low level. There's a bit of ambiguity here because what one person considers to be high level or low level is not necessarily what another person would consider to be high level or low level. An example I can think of off the top of my head would be someone who programs microcontrollers or does embedded code. What they regard as low level and high level is entirely different from what someone who does interface programming would regard as high or low level. The second sticking point is that very often programming languages will be referred to as high level or low level, and there's very many similarities, or similarities is the wrong word, but high level and low level, when they're applied to programming languages, mean the same basic thing that we are going to use them, but the phrases high level and low level can be applied to not just programming languages. They can be applied to concepts to express how abstract they are, or the distance from the hardware, or the distance from the software, or basically where does an object fall or a topic fall in the spectrum of hardware and software is what high level and low level are used to refer to. So what do we mean by high level? It's removed from the intricacies of dealing with hardware and or system software. And basic follow on from that is that when you're doing high level things or you're dealing with high level concepts, there's a lot of work is done behind the scenes or implicitly for you, and in some scenarios that's a good thing. In many cases that's a good thing. However, in the event something does go wrong, diagnosing the problem can involve working through multiple layers is maybe a better way to say that. So if you're performing a high level task or discussing a high level topic, there's, again, as we said, there's a whole lot that is sitting beneath it, and in the event that you have to diagnose a problem or something like that, you may have to drill through multiple layers to find out where the problem really is, and sometimes that can be difficult. And this is relevant to Cheat Engine in the series because as we get into some of the more advanced things that we'll be doing with Cheat Engine, we will wind up doing exactly that. We will have to go through multiple layers, if you will, to identify where the problem is, and it's not always readily apparent in which layer the problem exists. So you have to be familiar with the different layers that you're working with or on top of in order to diagnose problems and properly debug your programs or scripts or what have you. If we bring up Cheat Engine here, we can see that it has a relatively friendly user interface. Some may not think so, but certainly as we become more familiar with it, we'll regard it as more friendly because we'll understand everything. But say you attach this to a process, we'll just click here and we'll pick something random. It'll attach it to itself. You just enter values here in the box, and then you hit scan, and it goes out and it scans. So this is the end user interface of Cheat Engine. When you actually hit scan or tell Cheat Engine to search, there's a whole lot going on. So again, this sort of illustrates that this is our high level interface or high level layer, if you will, right here, and this is sitting on top of a whole lot of other lower layers or lower level layers. And in the event that we have a problem, it's not immediately obvious why or where that problem exists. So moving on to lower level. If higher level means that we're removed from the intricacies of dealing with hardware or system software, then lower level obviously means that we are closer to the hardware or the system software itself. And the practical effect of this is that we have to do all of the work, or certainly the vast majority of the work ourselves, or explicitly, if you will, with very little taken care of for us. And so on the spectrum of high level, low level, you move closer to the higher level end of the spectrum, you become more productive because you don't have to worry about the different certain idiosyncrasies, if you will. You move back to the lower level side of the spectrum, and suddenly you're doing more yourself. You're more error prone because you have to write the same code over and over, and or maybe not writing the same code over and over, but it's more explicit, so more surface for error. It's maybe a phrase that I will invent right now. Cheat Engine's features, or some of the advanced features that it has, such as auto-assembler scripts and Lua code or scripting and things like that, are fairly low level because you're starting to mess around with the internals of not so much Cheat Engine, but certainly you're interacting with the different hooks and mechanisms that it provides for you to deal with the operating system and memory and processes that it's attached to and things like that. And so as we move forward and we actually start doing some of this stuff, we'll certainly see the spectrum of high level, low level in a more concrete way. But at this point, it's worth clearly defining, or it's worth defining in a general way what high level and low level mean, because we're going to say it a lot, and it just pays to be clear on what we mean when we say it. And so that's going to be it for this one.